pop myself up onto the screen there. Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome. Excuse me. So, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone has had a really good weekend. Sunday evening here. It's kind of been cold all day today and rained a little bit. So, I've been in the house just kind of getting some stuff done and watching some videos on YouTube, trying to catch up on some of my favorite content creators. So welcome. I apologize for being a couple minutes late. I couldn't get into StreamYards. Um, I had to switch my browser. I was actually using Safari, and I kept getting a message saying Safari wasn't supported. So my apologies for being late, but I'm here now. And also, I wanted to hi, Pat Ray. Hi, Ray Blair. Oh, hi, Ray. Hi. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. Glad to see you. Um, I apologize. I had to postpone and then cancel this stream a couple of times this past week. Real life just kind of got in the way, and so I had some stuff at work I had to take care of. So I ended up on Thursday when I had a work emergency come up, thinking that it would just be better to cancel it and reschedule. So Pat, Ray, and Ray, can you guys hear me okay? Is my volume okay? Can you let me know if my volume's okay? Because on my last stream, I found the volume on the replay was a little bit off. So just let me know if it's too high, too low, anything like that. So Ray, I see that I see that you've put out a few Tim videos today. I'm trying to catch up on some of them. I That's a new world to me, so very interesting, but definitely catching my eye. So I'm trying to catch up on Tim's history, and I was out all day yesterday and listening to your live stream that you're talking about foodie, and man, today too, she has just been going off the rails. Oh, I don't even know what to, well, I shouldn't say that. I have a lot of opinions on the content she's put out today, especially that last video she put out talking about why she's only doing mukbangs now. So, but anyway, so tonight, I wanted to talk about something that we see a lot of, obviously, in Girl World today. And these days, and not just with, the people that the reactors react to, like Foodie and Anna from Glitters and Lasers and Amberlyn Reed and stuff, but we're seeing a whole lot of manipulation in all the little different circles that are kind of within Girl World. So I just wanted to talk about different types of manipulation that are out there, and how we look at them through the lens of a clinical lens, through psychology, and through, if I was dealing with a patient that had, issues with manipulation and stuff. So, let's jump into it. I gotta jump back over to my other browser because I had everything set up on Safari, and now I had to come over to Google to get StreamYards working. So let me just pull my tabs back over so I have them all on one screen. Ray, I can tell every time I'm listening to you and hearing you talk about your post-grad how excited you are about it, and it just makes me so happy for you because it sounds like you've really found your niche. So it's sorry. Oh yeah, no, Ray, don't be sorry. Yes, Pat Ray. Yeah, there's definitely. So that's one of the things that I have on my to talk about tonight is the different types of manipulation that we see, and I even have a little bit to talk about in regards to, how adults manipulate children and stuff. I just wanted to touch on a little bit on that for a bit as well. So just and then how manipulation kind of relates to what they call dark psychology. So first of all, dark psychology kind of refers to the harmful ways that people harmful behaviors that people do to other people. So it's the term dark psychology isn't uh, a recognized scientific field by any means, but it's a term that is used to describe like very negative and unethical practices and behaviors. So so of course, starting at with the basics, just talking about what is the definition of manipulation when we're talking about in clinical terms. So it's is a term for many of the techniques that involve cleverly or deceptively influencing or controlling someone at their at others' expense. So there, some of the tactics that are used are persuasion, deception, coercion, things like that. And then when we talk about the different types of manipulation that are out there, so there's one that called paltering, which some people might not be familiar as to what it actually is, but probably they see it a lot in their day-to-day life. Does dark psychology, sorry, just looking at the chat here, Pat asked a question. Does dark psychology equally include conscious and unconscious manipulation tactics? So, in that, I would say my opinion on that, Pat, is yes, because, and I say that because um, people that are unconsciously manipulating somebody else or unconsciously using manipulation tactics, they likely are suffering from some sort of anti-personality disorder. And so it's a defect in their personality. So they may not necessarily be doing it with malicious intent, or at least that is what they think. They have no, their thought process is there's no malicious intent behind what they're doing. So it's an unconscious decision that they're making. Does that make sense to you? And we can, and I'm still learning my way around StreamYards here, so I apologize if, oh, see, I don't know what I've done. I've just made my screen really big. One moment, please. Okay, there we go. I've lost the chat. Hopefully it pops back up here in a second. So, okay. Oh, and of course, I know we're already almost 10 minutes into this, but I will just put out my little reminder that when we're talking about these things, I am not officially diagnosing anybody. I am not offering any types of professional or clinical advice. These are just, talking about behaviors that we see on the internet and how they may relate to behaviors that you may see in your real life and, how to recognize them and things like that. So back to talking about the different types of manipulation. So back to paltering. So paltering is considered a deceptive tactic when someone is telling the truth, but they're concealing important information or creating a false and misleading impression. So I think that we can probably see or probably talk about a lot of examples where we've seen that a lot in Gorl World. And I think, talking about some of the girls in Gorl World, I think that Amber Lynn probably does this the most when we talk about someone who is uh, who will tell the truth about something, but conceals a little bit of the information. And I think that we will see, you'll see that a lot with Chantel as well. Um, yeah, yeah, Pat, yeah, yeah. To me, when I first read that one, first one that came to mind was definitely Amberlynn, because I think Amberlynn will tell us, 95% of the truth, but then she'll twist it in a way so that it comes out in the end where it's okay though. It's okay. Like, if she needs to take a certain medication, she'll tell us the truth as to why she has to take that medication. But it's okay that she has to take that medication. It's not related to obesity at all. It's something that everybody, may have to deal with. When in fact, in her particular instance, it likely is related directly to her obesity. So that's, one example where it's something like that. So instead of coming right out and just saying, yeah, guys, unfortunately, because of, the way I treat my body and the obesity, I am now dealing with this health issue. And because of this health issue, I now have to take medication A, B, C, D. But no, she'll come out and say, I have this health issue, you know, and I have to take this medication for it. But it's okay because, other people have to take this medication as well. So I hope that gives you kind of uh, a good idea of what oh, excuse me, of what paltering is. And then excuse me. And then another form of manipulation is gaslighting. I'm going to save gaslighting for a little bit later because there's just so much misinformation about there about what gaslighting is. So I'm going to talk about that briefly a little bit later. And probably what I'm going to do is actually I'm probably going to dedicate a whole stream to talking about gaslighting and narcissism. I could probably dedicate several streams if I'm being honest, because there's just so much misinformation on the internet of what both of those are. So I could probably, yeah, I could talk about that stuff for hours. So another form of manipulation, backstabbing. So of course, I think most people know what that means. Backstabbing refers to the act of betraying someone's trust or confidence by secretly harming or undermining them while pretending to be their friend or ally. And then another one is triangulation. So the triangulation is a manipulation tactic where a person involves a third party to manipulate or control a situation, often by creating competition, jealousy, or insecurity. So we've seen this one quite a bit uh, with Foodie Booty, right? Especially when she's involved with Natter, and her previous relationships, and she would, try to introduce a third character to make Natter jealous, and to prove that, that there was other people out there that were interested in a relationship with her, and that he was missing out by not being in a relationship with her, and and in her current circumstances, I think that you might even see her try to introduce a little bit of triangulation as well by actually trying to um, get the reactors that she doesn't like, the haters, to infight with each other as well. So, to get the attention away from her, she'll try to create conflict between the reactors that are reacting to her that don't get along with each other within the community. And I think that even goes back to what Pat Ray was speaking about earlier, where she asking about unconscious manipulation tactics. To me, I think that, trying to pit reactors against each other, or to create conflict between the reactors when there isn't necessarily any there, could be an unconscious manipulation tactic. I am so sorry. I'm having problems speaking tonight. My apologies. I'm just going to get a drink of water, so just bear with me for one moment here while I put you on mute. Okay, so uh, my apologies for that. And also, too, just going to let you know that I've got two little interns that are here. Right now, they're both sleeping, but if you hear them running around or barking up a storm, it's them. My two little puppies. I've got a Bowie and a Rudy. They are both Chihuahua Jack Russell mixes. And I'm hoping to actually film a video over the next few days to kind of introduce them on the channel, because you're probably going to hear them a lot in the background of my videos. So, oh, and one of them just heard his name and he popped up his head over my little laptop wondering what mom is doing. So look out for that over the next couple of days. I'm going to be posting a couple little shorts introducing these two little guys. So, all right, back to different types of manipulation. So the next one that comes up is exploitation. So exploitation involves identifying and taking advantage of someone else's weaknesses, their insecurities, or their fears to manipulate them. And then under exploitation, you're going to find different types of manipulation. So you're going to have emotional, psychological, or physical manipulation. And then we have guilt tripping, which who hasn't been a victim of guilt tripping in their lives? I'm sure we all have. So guilt tripping is a manipulative tactic where someone tries to make someone else feel guilty to control their behavior. So this involves emotional manipulation, and you're trying to make someone feel responsible for something that is not their fault, or to exaggerate the impact of their actions on someone else. So when you hear statements like, I thought you cared about me, but I guess I was wrong, things like that. Feudy Beauty does this a lot where she says, well, if you don't like it, just don't watch me. You know, that's a guilt tripping tactic that she's using for the people that actually do support her and are trying to offer her constructive criticism on her behaviors or her channel. And then reverse psychology. So it's a strategy when someone encourages another person to do something by suggesting that they do the opposite. They try to tap into their desire for autonomy or defiance against actually being manipulated. So, if you hear someone again say, well, you probably don't want to spend time with me anyway, so just go ahead and hang out with your friends. So there's a little bit of reverse psychology. Then there's also a little bit of guilt tripping in there too, in a statement like that. And then another one we hear a lot of is love bombing. So love bombing is a manipulative tactic used to gain someone's affection or trust by overwhelming them with attention, compliments, and praise. By doing this, you create a strong emotional bond that you can then use to manipulate and control somebody else. So, we've all seen examples of this too, where somebody who, is in a relationship and, especially in a romantic relationship, and then they get love bombed with these huge displays of affection, and they feel really special and loved. And then after the love bombing coming kind of wears off, then the manipulator will start to ask this person to do things that they maybe might not have done if they hadn't, if that strong emotional connection is not being built through the love bombing. And then the last one I'm going to briefly talk about tonight is negging. So that's If anyone may not have heard of this one as well, it's negging, and negging is a manipulative tactic used in dating or social interactions to undermine someone's confidence, making them seek approval or validation from another person. So this is where you see backhanded compliments a lot of the time. So, you may hear this one a lot. You're really pretty for someone who's overweight, or you've got a really pretty face. Things like that are all would fall under negging. And then the types of people who use manipulation tactics. So, obviously, people that are intentionally using manipulation tactics are going to be people that are narcissistic, um, and they're under antisocial personality disorder. So we've got, psychopathic traits, sociopath. I am so sorry. I cannot talk tonight. Sociopathic traits and Machiavellism. So these people are naturally manipulative. They are seeking power and control over other people, and they have no empathy or remorse. And then these traits, so again, um, just because someone is manipulating other people doesn't necessarily mean that they're a psychopath or a sociopath or a narcissist. So when we talk about this stuff, we're talking about, traits that people are displaying. And obviously, to diagnose someone as a psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, though you can't do that unless you're doing the extensive personality assessments that are out there. So, traits that can be found in various types of people are obviously abusers, criminals, and people with personality or traits, and those that have neurotic neurotic traits. Okay, so that's quick definition of some of the different types of manipulation that are out there. And I know people like to really dunk on, you know, the girls for uh, all the manipulation that we see out there. And oh, you're sorry. Your comments. I'm still figuring out StreamYard, so if I keep showing Pat Ray's comments, it's uh it's me trying to figure out how it works. So Pat Ray made a comment there. Having a narcissist mother, guilt tripping is like 70%, 5% of the relationship. Yeah, yeah, I can absolutely agree with that. And someone that, having a parent figure like that too, Pat, I could imagine that you are constantly doing everything to try and please her, right? To not set her off. Um, I have a little bit of experience with that myself. So yeah, I get that. You turn into a people pleaser for sure if you're being guilt tripped and manipulated in that form. Absolutely. So, okay, so a couple of the other things that I wanted to talk about when we're talking about manipulator is, how does someone become manipulative? Because it's not something that you're born with, right? Like, you don't come out learning how to manipulate. You're coming out manipulating people. It's a behavior that is learned, right? So everyone is going to have different motivations when they are a manipulator. But manipulation is often formed in childhood. So when someone is not getting their needs met, especially in very early childhood, they will find a way to feel like their needs are getting met and to feel safe emotionally and physically. So something that when again talking about psychology is that when you are a child and in those very early years, and I am talking as young as 2 to 3 years old, um, if you haven't had a loving and nurturing relationship since birth, by the time you get to 2 or 3 years old, your brain is not going to be developing the way that it needs to be developing so that all of your synapses and neurotransmitters are connecting properly. So you don't real you need to so when you are that young, uh, having those relationships is when it is really most important uh, for you if you want to continue to grow up and have healthy relationships throughout your entire life. Um, so, a child who is dependent on their mother or their father or their caregiver that is not given love and affection, given what they need to survive, which at that point, that is what they need to survive on top of, proper food and clothing and housing and stuff. But, the emotional and physical bonds that they need from their parents, if they are not getting them, then they will naturally, then even at that young of an age, they will find a way to get those feelings. And one of the ways that they might do that is they will cry until until something is given to them. And that something that is given to them might be food. It might be um, depending on the age of the child, it could even just be something simple as a bottle, a blanket, a soother, anything like that. Anything that they they realize can be a coping mechanism for them. So learning to be manipulative can start at a very young age. Now, as a child, hi Kiki, thanks for coming. No problem. No problem. Thanks for joining. Um, I'm glad to see you here. Um, so as a child who doesn't understand obviously what manipulation is, all they understand is what they need to survive. Um, they are not doing it with obviously any type of malicious intent. But as they grow older and as they're learning, they can then the malicious intent can start to come in to their thought process because they start to see that this behavior over and over again continues to work. And we all know that Chantal has said many, many times that she learned very early on how to manipulate the people in her life to get what she wanted. And that probably started, again, just speculation here, probably started because she wasn't given the proper nurturing and attention she needed as a child. And then so she learned that, you know, food became a good coping mechanism for her, and that if she, you know, threw a temper tantrum as a young child, then she would start to get the food that she wanted. And then as she got older, that changed to go beyond food, right? We've heard her talk about how when she was sent to, I think it was a group home, she manipulated her grandmother to come get her because she didn't want to be there, and so the behaviors just continue over and over and over again, and they will start to become more harmful and malicious to the people that in your life or in their lives. Okay, so alrighty. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about too quickly is different, the different types of manipulation that you see in um, different types of relationships. So, hi Kiki. I'm just going to post your comment up here because we are talking about Chantal a bit here. What is she gaining by these mukbangs? Um, I don't think that she's personally, she's not gaining anything. Um, I don't even think it's going to be a financial gain for her anymore, like it used to be when she kind of first started to become popular on YouTube back in like 2017, 2018-ish. Because while I think maybe a large part of her audience back then did watch her to see, oh my God, this super obese person um, is eating all of this food. Um, I think that most people, like even back then, I think that Chantel had a lot of haters that watched her, and and they, she was all even back then she was constantly in a cycle, right? She would eat, and then be like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I need to lose weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try a water fast. I'm going to try the grapefruit diet. I'm going to try the grape diet. I'm going to try the juicing diet, you know, and she was constantly in a cycle back then. So, in that aspect, the cycle hasn't changed for her, but I think that it's become much more detrimental to her health, and she's going through it faster and faster. So Kiki, I think in a way it is her acting out because she doesn't, she knows that her audience doesn't want to watch her eat on camera anymore. I think even the small group of supporters that she has, I don't even think they really want to watch her eat on camera anymore. Um, some of them seem generally concerned for her health, and I think a lot of them just want to see her succeed. So when you've gone from within a period of 2 to 3 weeks, you've gone from having the severe illness that I think we can probably confirm now was diabetic related. And Chantel herself constantly making comments about, I am never going to eat like that again. I am not I can't believe I treated my body like this. She was praying to Allah to help her get through this so she could, redeem herself and make her, prove that she's a good Muslim and, not dishonor her religion and her body, you know, like she was just so sick she couldn't even think about eating butter or cheese, and all she wanted was fruit. And you know she made how many videos talking about all of that, which back to my first video that I made where I talked about how that was all her being in kind of what they call the pink cloud. um Someone kind of goes through a bit of a detox and they think they're good to go, and they're going to conquer the world, and then the real life starts in after a few days. The cravings are coming back, and She's already back full on to now only doing mukbangs. So, um, Kiki, do I think she was really sick? Yes, I do think she was sick. Absolutely. I think that um, her sugars just got so out of control that it took her out for a few days. And yes, okay, she seems to be taking her medication now, or she says she is. But who knows how long that will last too, because she's also famous for taking medication for a little while and then she stops, or she runs out. And I don't doubt that she is really struggling financially right now because her views just aren't there and she's not making the money that she's used to making. And you know, mukbangs have always been successful for her in the past where she made money. But I think again, those mukbangs were successful because she's always telling these outrageous stories to go with them, right? Whether they were true or not, that's your own, you can say yes they were, no they weren't. My opinion is that they likely weren't true, most of them, but they were entertaining. So people would go and laugh and think, "Oh, look at how outrageous this is." But they were a little bit entertained by it. And I will give it to Chantel. Like I said, I am no Chantel fan. I have never been. But and that's because right from day one I always thought she lies, she's manipulating, she's just not a nice person, you know. But at times the girl can be funny. At times she made me laugh. And so I'll give that to her. I think she has the potential to be entertaining if she really wanted, but you know, she doesn't. She throws it all out the window by making nasty comments about people or degrading people, and you know, and that's where people fall out of it too. So, hi Ray, welcome back. So, yeah, yeah, no, I do. I understand why people don't believe her because she's not a reliable narrator. So I understand if people don't believe that she was sick. Um, but I also think that she has spent so much time abusing her body that it what may make you and I ill is going to take something 10 times worse to make her ill, especially like when it comes to eat. Like when I saw her that Wendy's mukbang yesterday, oh my God, the thought of eating all that food was making me nauseous just thinking about it. But, Ray was right when she was talking about in her live stream that that's nothing for her. That's a snack. That doesn't bother her at all. So, I think, her body has just gotten used to all, it's like an alcoholic, right? They can drink 10 times more than what the average person can drink before they start to feel it. So, alrighty. So, Kiki, I think you asked me another question. Oh yeah, you said she was mad the other night when no one was in her chat. Well, and again, I think that's something that is going to keep happening because I think people are kind of at the point where um they're a little bit fed up with her and her the way she tries to manipulate everybody. Her little her stunt there where she says, "I really have to go, something bad has happened," and she ends her live stream knowing full well that people are going to be concerned, or people are going to speculate as to what it could possibly be, or that people are going to be like, "Oh yeah, bullshit, Chantel's just pulling a fast one here, right? Um trying to create controversy." Again, those are all forms of manipulation. um Now, I haven't actually watched that video, so I'm not going to comment on whether I think something happened or not. So when we were talking about, though, in terms of manipulation, she makes that comment, she goes, she closes her live, she's done, and then a little bit later, she posts on her community tab that she's no longer going to talk about anything in regarding her life. She's not going to talk about her weight. She's not going to talk about her health. She's not going to talk about her marriage. She's not going to talk about what color the sky is outside her window that day. All she's going to do is sit on camera and eat. Okay, Chantel. All right, that's fine. You're not hurting us by doing that. You're only hurting yourself. And again, when she talks about how, I guess the video she released today, she talked about how mukbangs uh, remind her of a simpler time in her YouTube career. But again, she's leaving out a whole other aspect of the fact that when she did mukbangs, she was telling us personal stories of things that happened to her in her life. So again, that was, one half of the equation here is now completely missing. So no, I don't think she's going to get people back watching like they used to. And then, so she makes that long post, and then she goes live. Did she go live later that day or the next day? I'm not sure the timeline because I'll be honest, I haven't been watching a whole lot of her the last few days. I've been, out, touching grass, as they say, living my life. I've just been kind of catch up on reactors here and there because I won't watch her directly. So anything I see is through a reaction channel or what I see on Twitter. So, but then no one was in that live. And then she comes on again. So let's get back to how, she talks about, um, how bad the reactors are. And they're doing things like smoking in front of their pets and stuff like that. But then she comes on smoking the shisha right into the camera when she knows that it bothers people. And then she's got two animals that live in her apartment with her. And I don't care if it's all natural. I know you guys can't see me. I'm sitting here doing the air quotes with my fingers, all natural. Um, and it's not, tobacco or cigarettes or, THC or whatever it is. I'm sorry, it's still smoke. And you are somebody who has a history of pulmonary embolisms. There's a history of COPD in your family, according to her. That's what her grandmother had. She has asthma. And then you sit there and you're criticizing other people for doing it online, and then you come on and do it. So, it's just, again, and that is one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of Chantal. I agree that everybody it's hypocritical. Everyone will be a hypocrite about something. We all are, because that's just human nature. And we all live in a little bit of we all live in a bit of a hug box, but, you have to be open to accepting, you know, criticism from other people. And and if somebody is offering you criticism, it is not necessarily malicious. So, and sorry, I went off on a total tangent there about her and the shisha because that bothers me that she does it in front of her animals, whether it's good smoke or not. um, but she doesn't. But the fact that she's doing it to herself, that doesn't bother me because she doesn't take anything about her health seriously. So, you know, um, kind of like Ray, I just want people to understand what, things actually are compared to what she or other people online say that they are. So, yes, she did kiki. So I did see that. That's the one of her, somebody who had supported her from a long time, kind of laid out some truths about her in that post. And, I heard it was deleted, so, Chantal, it's, she'll never be able to accept help from some sort of medical professional because she can't, if she doesn't like it, she just ignores it or she'll just delete it. So, yeah, she is a brat, Kiki. She is a brat. So, you know, she'll do what she can to manipulate herself out of the current situation that she's in until she gets into the next one. So, yeah, Pat Ray, it is crazy, isn't it? I think social media has actually made people really thin-skinned. People only ever want to hear praise. And, of course everybody wants to hear praise too. That's natural. Again, that's human nature. Everyone wants to hear praise, especially when you're working hard at something and you've accomplished something, you deserve it. Um, but you have to be openly equal. Uh, you have to be equally open to hearing the criticism as well. And it's kind of funny when I was talking to my son about, starting a YouTube channel, and first thing he said to me is, "Are you going to be ready for the hate that comes with it?" And I laughed and I was like, "Kid, yeah, I'm 49 years old. I don't care. It doesn't bother me what people say anymore. I learned a long time ago that you don't take things seriously, and you especially don't take things, you know, seriously that are said on the internet. That, I'm talking about obvious troll comments and stuff. That if people have genuine criticism, I'm always open to it. Always open to it. Um, in fact, I encourage it because, if you feel like I could be doing something better, absolutely leave me a comment about it, and I will look into it, because that's how you get better in life, right? That's how you improve. So, okay, so well, I hope I don't get too much hate to Kiki, but I realize that it's the internet, and I'll probably get some, and it is what it is. It's not going to change any how I do things necessarily as a person, because I feel like I'm going to do things you know, the right way. So I'll have to catch one of Rose Thorne's tarot readings. I haven't seen one of those yet, so I'll have to catch one. So it sounded like a couple of the predictions she made came true out on one of Feudy's videos, so be interesting to see. So, okay, so when we're again, so getting back to the topic of manipulation, um, I see a lot of manipulation being used with from some of the reactors in Girl World as well. Um, Mostly, you see partial truths being told. You know, you see receipts that are posted, and the entire context around the receipt is not explained or posted. And so talking about this subject, it's not just um, you know the girls, that are being manipulative. You see it with the reactors as well, or other content. I shouldn't strictly say reactors. You see it with other content creators as well, um, in Girl World. And I think the biggest forms of manipulation that I do see on in this little corner of YouTube is the hypocrisy that is so rampant in this uh, corner of YouTube. And there are so many little battles going on between different content creators right now. And they're trying to manipulate the audience to be on their side, or don't pick the other person's side. You're in my tribe, not, and if you're not in my tribe, then you're automatically in the other tribe, so that doesn't make you a good person. And you know you see things like, you know this person will be calling this other content creator a hypocrite, and but meanwhile they are doing the exact same behavior. And it is all in an effort to manipulate the audiences. And I think it's really gross. I think it's disgusting that this behavior is happening online. And for me, partly because when I first started watching um, Girl World, I actually started watching Amberlyn. I started watching Amberlyn Reid reactors first, and then that kind of led me to Chantel, and then it kind of led me to the Slayton sisters and to Life with Amy, or Amy's Life Journey, or Amy Ramadan, and I really enjoyed it because the reactors roasted the girls, right? There might have been a few mean girl comments here and there that were kind of out of line, but for the most part it was roasting. And it's just so far from that now that it's not fun anymore for the most part. So, and and when you do try to bring in some sort of you know real life information, like talking about like what Ray talks about, the medical side of it, or a few times I've made attempts in chats to talk about the actual psychology behind things, to so people can understand, what's actually going on with some of these girls. It just, it gets, kind of just ignored, or, you know, maybe there's not an appetite for it, which I guess I can kind of understand. Um, but so for me, I've kind of, because there's not as much, roasting going on. It's more, you know, of the mean girl stuff. Um, it's that I've really kind of, enjoyed seeing the actual, like people like Milk Tea and Sansa Cooks and Life with Vibe, Ray, and Smoky Stephen Mark. I love, they've become like my favorite content creators talking about the Girl World stuff because, they're very neutral, pulpy syntax. They're very neutral. Um, and they're just, they're talking about observations and things, how they, a lot of them experienced it in their own life as well. So, that's where, so that's why, you know, I thought, maybe I'll throw my ring in the hat too, and talk about my point of view from things, and because I kind of look at a lot of stuff through a clinical lens now, what I see when I see these behaviors online now, what they're telling me about somebody. So Kiki, so Smokey Steve and Mark, um, they have a channel. I don't know if I can post it in the chat or not. Give me a second here. They, excuse me. They started out being Chantel reactors, and they react a couple of times a week. It's mostly uh, Smokey, who does Smokey Steve, that does it, and they are awesome. They do a live on Sunday evenings at 6 normally when it comes to talking about Chantel, and then they try to do a video throughout the week as well. So and and Smokey, so Steve and Mark are both recovering addicts. Um, and so they talk a lot about that, how, their experiences with that in their reactions. So that's why I have a great appreciation for that as well. So because uh oh, you found it. Perfect. Okay. I was just gonna see if I could find the link, but if you found it, yeah. So I encourage watching them. They're great. And Sansa Cooks is great for talking about the food macros, um, when it comes to a meal, because again, this is stuff that you know, Amber and Chantel, they're not looking at realistically. They think they're, I wouldn't, I would bet that when if Chantel is recording something in My Fitness Pal, if she's looking up a sub, a turkey sub, she is looking for the one that has the least amount of calories that comes up when she does that search, whether it's what she actually ate or not. So, um, what did Pat say? I never thought I'd get sucked in. Let's see, let's put it up here. I never thought I'd get sucked into Gorl World. I'm pretty sure it's but really, oh, yeah, no, Pat, that's for sure. Like I said, I kind of started listening, to Gorl World back in like 2017, 2018, when I was at work and, I just was playing stuff in the background. And I think actually, um, Zachary Michael was one of the first videos that I listened to of him reacting to Amber, and he just had me laughing. Like I was just laughing at his reaction. So that kind of was what got me um, sucked into it. And the last few years is definitely for me. It's definitely become more of a education. I'm using it for educational purposes because going back to school has really had me looking at Gorl World and, through an entirely different lens. I actually wrote a paper, I think it was 2 semesters ago, about bullying and the uh, the average view of what a bully is to the general public compared to what a bully actually is when you're looking at it through a psychological lens. And couple of the examples I used, uh, I pulled right from Gorl World videos that I had. So yeah, it's definitely definitely become a bit of a a study tool for me as well. So, Kiki, what documentaries have been used uh, using YouTubers? So, yes, Ray, isn't that funny how it had you change your grad school focus? Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, didn't necessarily change, but I just decided to, specialize a little bit more in addictions. Not that that necessarily came from Girl World, but it definitely going fully into psychotherapy uh, is kind of boosted into of seeing all the people who need help in Girl World. Okay, so I haven't actually watched the Nick and Aaron Carter one, but I watched the Dance Cult one last week, and holy crap, that to me, I was like kind of like this. I was like, wow, and because I had watched so many of those video clips of those dancers on YouTube. And then so when it first came up and they were like showing, the one girl was like, my sister is nowhere, but she's everywhere. And they started posting little clips. I was like, oh my God, I know that person. I watch her videos all the time. I watch their dance videos all the time. And it is so, oh my God, there's so many things, so many topics in psychology that I love to talk about, and cults is another one. I have been like into cults, fascinated by cults and their behaviors since I was like a teenager. True crime is another one. I am such a huge true crime buff. I watch true crime episodes like almost constantly. That's almost all I'm listening to is true crime documentaries, true crime podcasts. The books I read are all true crime related. I really should be going into forensic psychology, but unfortunately, I think it's just too many more years of schooling for me to do that. But yeah, but I'm so fascinated by like again, really the dark psychology, like sociopaths, psychopaths, things like that. To me, I just find it all the behavior is just all so fascinating, and where, where it initiates, whether it initiates in childhood or whether it's, you're born a psychopath. And yeah, there's so many different stories out there. I've what, uh, talking about children that, have psychopathic tendencies and stuff. Like, I'm just so I'm here for all of it. Just so it's like I'm so fascinated by all of it and wanting to learn more. So, but yeah, that dance call. So if you guys haven't watched it, I think it's called Dance with the Devil or Dance for the Devil. And it's is it 3 or 4 episodes? I can't remember, but yeah, uh, really good documentary series. So, um, yeah, Ray, yeah, it's the clinical studies in when you're talking about psychology therapy is so different from clinical studies of like a medical diagnosis, you know, like your background's in cardiology. So, you've talked about how, so someone is very definitive, gets a very definitive diagnosis in cardiology and what they have to do to recover or to get well from that diagnosis. And again, their recovery plan is often very definitive. But when it comes to psychology and psychotherapy, there's just the diagnosis may not necessarily be definitive, and neither are the treatments as well. So it really is such and I don't want to say new science, but it's a science that I will say is growing by leaps and bounds. So yeah, there's definitely uh, a lot of options out there if you're thinking about, and anyone's thinking about going into working in the mental health field. There are just so many options out there. So, and there's never enough help, right? Never enough help. So. Okay, so I know this is why I kind of like I when I was thinking about starting this channel, I thought I was going to do videos, but I like the live chats, even though, my audience is still very small. Um, I like that, the conversation in the chats kind of drives what we talk about. So I really appreciate it. Um, oh, Kiki, your daughter-in-law is an eating disorder therapist. That's great. That's great. So, yeah, there's so many different treatment modalities out there when it comes to, how to help people and in the mental health field. And yes, yeah, and I think this is what a lot of people don't realize, Ray, is that the basis of psychology really is neuroscience and brain function. And people don't realize that. And I've talked to so many people in my life now. When I talk to them about uh certain mental health disorders like schizophrenia, for sure people don't realize that schizophrenia is a is a is a problem with the actual neurotransmitters in the brain. It's sending the wrong neurotransmitter to the wrong part of the brain. So, and that is why, they often have auditory or visual hallucinations. So, so that is a medical issue that creates symptoms that are seen as mental health symptoms. But it is a medical issue. And I think I briefly mentioned this in my first video, uh, that I took a I took a course last semester. Oh, sorry, excuse me, one moment. Sorry about that. I just had to cough there for a second. Um, I took a course, a psychology course, and it was called Evolution and Sex. And it was the basis of the course was how evolution drove psychology, because obviously, the theory behind evolution is that the strongest survive, the fittest, Darwinism, the strongest and the fittest survive. Now, post Darwinism theories are all about how uh, it's not the strongest or the fittest survive, but it's the strongest genes that will survive. So when you see things like recessive genes coming out in a generation, it's because they have uh, those genes are basically uh, fighting to survive and to keep going. Um, and of course, that goes back to this basis of um, neuroscience and the brain function. Is the kind of the basis of you know humans surviving um, throughout history. So as our brains evolved and our brain functions have evolved, we've become stronger, and we will continue to evolve to survive. You know, and yeah, Ray, and that's no, yeah, you're right. Ray says here it's so sad that as a society we have demonized people with mental health disorders. Many don't have a choice to have these disorders with hereditary factors involved. Yep. Yeah, it is absolutely true. And, one of the things that my professor that I had for that course, that evolution and sex course, and when I talk about sex, I'm talking about biological. So I'm talking about the biological need for recreation. I'm not talking about the act of physical sex for pleasure. Um, you know, it's his he felt very strongly that this course was the most fundamental course to take uh, as a psychology uh, undergrad, um, because of the hereditary factors involved. And if we continue to evolve, then maybe some of the hereditary factors that cause these psychological disorders can eventually be eliminated. So it's definitely an interesting theory, but and he was also evolved in a lot of animal behavior research. So I just learned so much from him. He was just an amazing professor. I really enjoyed studying behaviors of the birds, the cowbirds that I was part of the research team on, and then writing about how those behaviors applied to human behavior that we see today. Like, as an example, the female cowbirds, when it comes to nesting, because they're a parasite species. So what that means is they drop their eggs into another species nest, and then they let that other species um, nurture their eggs until the babies are born, and then they let that other species feed their babies. So uh, in cowbirds, they need to find obviously what they think is going to be the best nest for them to lay an egg in. Um, and so what they'll do is, if there are multiple female cowbirds looking at the same two or three nests, so there's going to be a competition as to who will lay their eggs in that nest. They will actually um, try to deceive the other female cowbirds by pretending that they like a nest that's less ideal for their babies to be laid in, for their eggs to be laid in, so that then the other female will go rush over to lay their eggs in that less ideal nest, and that thus leaving the better nest open for them to lay their eggs in. So you think about, how does that apply to human behavior, right? So manipulation, deception, that these birds are doing, and then, that translates right over into human behavior. So, yes, yes, Pat Ray. Yeah, yeah. The game theory and altruism prompting genes versus selfishness prompting genes. Yeah, absolutely. Were it's a big, big discussion in that course as well. Yeah. So, you talk about how if you have a family of just to keep it simple, I'll say dogs. You have a family of dogs, and you have a mom dog and a dad dog, and then the mom dog has a sibling, a female sibling. Well, you'd think that it would make sense for the male dog to mate with both the female dogs, but the male dog will mate with the one female dog, and then the other sister dog will raise the puppies, because it's not beneficial for the family for to have more puppies than it can raise together. It's yeah, it's just so, the altruism prompting genes, and again, those are just basic descriptions of the theories as well. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but yeah, I would be open to talking about all that stuff. It is, you know if you guys are interested in it. So, but yeah, yeah. So, all right. Well, I have my two little intern dictators here that are getting ready. They need to go out for their evening constitution. So I am going to wrap things up here. So I want to thank everybody again for coming out tonight. Good to see some good chats, good comments happening in the chat. Really happy about that. So thank you guys for coming out. Um, and thank you to anyone who's watching the replay. Don't forget to, do all that stuff content creators need to ask for, to like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, all of that stuff. And if you guys have any ideas for topics you want me to talk about, leave them in the comments. I will absolutely look into them. I want to make this as interactive as possible. So yeah, leave your comments below, good or bad. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. And it's probably going into a new week here. It's probably going to be a few days before I'll be able to do another live stream, but I'm going to aim for uh, Wednesday or Thursday. So I'm hoping to do at least one a week for the next little bit, and see how it goes. So thank you again, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Hopefully you guys have beautiful weather for the week ahead. And have a good night, everyone. Thank you. Lots of love to you all, and peace.